Hey guys, this is Mac again. Welcome back. And today we've got a quick 3-gun tip video on the jungle run stage. Now if you're not familiar, a jungle run stage is usually a shotgun only stage which incorporates foliage such as trees, or it will be in a forest. And the reason why I believe most people hate or are intimidated by these stages is because of all the uncertainty and the on-the-fly type of thinking that it requires. They're a little bit intimidating when you first are presented with one, because there will be a defined path for you to follow. However, it's really easy to miss targets. You have to do a lot of counting. You got to make sure that you don't miss anything. And as you well know, the shotgun already incorporates a lot of thinking because of the reloading that it requires. It's difficult and there's a lot of math in your head you have to do. So I believe that the jungle run can be conquered fairly easily with a little bit of practice. And you can practice this at home if you have the space, fairly inexpensively. So let's look at how I got this practice jungle run set up here in my backyard. I believe that you can do this fairly inexpensively, and also with just maybe a couple of times of practice you can get a little bit more comfortable with it so you don't freak out next time you see one at your next 3-gun match. Now for practicing a jungle run, I believe you can do it with clays. And number one, it makes it really easy to reset the stage. You're going to see this most often when you're at a 3-gun match. They're going to use clays for these most often. They may also incorporate some steel. But you can get a box of clays for less than 10 bucks, and you can get these small clay target holders that I have here. I got these at Academy Sports, and for a 3-pack they're right around 10 bucks as well. And they're reusable and they absorb lead shot really easily, so they're going to last you a long time. So what you want to do is you want to have an area here. I'm fortunate that I have these planted pines here out at the farm, and I can set these up and sort of set up a path for myself so that I can run through and run this stage over and over and over with different variables. You know, I might want to start with my shotgun fully loaded, or I might want to start with it empty, or I might want to, you know, incorporate quad loads and things like that, required open bolt back loads. Any number of variables that you can incorporate to practice many different aspects of your shotgun. And I also do have one steel target here. I could engage just with a slug if I wanted. I'm not going to today. But I also, you know, can see what my pattern on my choke in my shotgun looks like here, and see if I can, you know, put a lot of shot on this steel target. So what I've got here is 12 clays and one steel target. And I'm going to design in my mind, you know, how I want to run this stage. The most important thing to plan on a jungle run stage is to count the number of targets during your walkthrough and as you're shooting the stage. I usually count down the number of targets as I'm walking through my stage plan, starting with the total number and subtracting once every time I go past a target. Once you know the total number of targets and have a rough stage plan, you should be able to plan both where your reloads will occur during the stage and what kind of reload you should do. You should always try to reload on the move if possible. So I choose to reload in places where I have a gap with no targets. I believe the penalty for missing targets on a jungle run is amplified because you have to adjust your reloading plan on the fly, and it's much easier to move past and forget targets. Therefore, hitting all your targets on a jungle run is extremely beneficial. To make this easier, I like to set up in 2 to 3 shooting positions along the path and stop briefly to engage multiple targets from these positions. This also breaks the stage up into sections, and it's easier to remember stages when you break them up into smaller pieces. You must have a backup plan for extra reloads just in case you miss. So go ahead and decide ahead of time, if I miss, where will I add the extra shells that I need to finish the stage? Choke selection is more important in a jungle run. The distance to the targets can be deceiving, and people often underchoke thinking that clays are easier to break. I would suggest choking for your hardest or longest target, because the farther you can shoot the targets, the less you have to run up the stage, and that saves time. Finally, when you think you're done with the stage, scan and assess for targets that you might have missed. There's no penalty for this, and if you see a target that you forgot, it's most of the time in your best interest to go back and shoot it. So let's break down a jungle run stage that I shot last weekend at Atlanta 3 Gun. This was an uphill stage and a slight dogleg to the left. There were 16 clays total, and the starting position was low ready with 8+1 in the gun. This means that I have to reload 8 shells somewhere during the stage. When I start the stage, while I'm waiting for the beep, I always repeat to myself the first thing that I have to do, which in this case was to disengage the safety. I'll take the first clay as I'm leaving the box. Remember, always be moving. I take the first clay and then I run to my first shooting position where I'll take clay 2 and 3. Then I'll run to my second shooting position and take clay 4 and 5. Now I have 4 shells left in the gun and can reload a full 8 and take the rest of the clays on the stage. I have 11 clays left at this point. As I'm moving from my second shooting position to my third, I quad load 8 shells. I then take the remaining 11 clays from left to right. Fortunately, since I had 1 miss, I had an extra 1 shell in the gun, so I finished with an empty gun. I did realize at the end of the stage that I couldn't see the last clay on the right. This cost me a second or two, but overall I finished with a clean stage and my quad loads were clean. So I was pretty happy with this stage.
Range is safe.
So thanks for joining me for today's video. I hope next time you go to a match, you're not quite so intimidated by the jungle run. I actually get really excited now when I walk up to a jungle run, and part of it is knowing going in that I've got a good stage plan. I'm going to count all my targets, and I'm going to plan my reloads in just the right time during the stage. So once again, this is Mac. Thanks for joining me. And if you haven't liked this video already, please help me out by clicking the like button. Please subscribe to my channel by clicking the Bullitt logo directly to my left or either the subscribe button directly below this video. Once again, thanks for joining me. Be safe out there, and we'll see you next time.